quick kick back into midfield from Port Adelaide. Jordan in the way. He marks it and squares it up to McCartan in the centre circles.
Minute 30 tyre power scoreboard. Sydney 95, leading Port Adelaide 59. Can they raise the bat and get a 100? Can they bring their 100 up with a late goal? Not the way they're getting further away from goal with each kick. Chad Warner's down in the opposite pocket, telling the crowd to get to their feet, and they obey. All around the SCG, the excitement sweeps. They've come dressed in their red and white finery. It's been an amazing season by the Sydney Swans. They've dominated the home and away season. And right now, with under 45 seconds remaining, they're just waiting for the clock to tick, tick, tick down and confirm what we all know. It is keepings off Port Adelaide as they have all night. Lloyd along the wing with the echoes of the Sydney chant around the SCG. The umpire do what they need to do, calls them to a halt. The players are orchestrating the crowd, who are still waving their banners, swirling their scarves. The play has to go to the end. There's a ball up, there's a tackle, all half-hearted. It all means very little as long as everyone is okay. There's 20 seconds left in this preliminary final. It's been an anticlimax, really. There's another ball up. And again, it is on the wing. We wait for the throw-up. Tap down, comes to Melican. Back to Parker. The siren is only seconds away. You'll hear it. You'll hear it now. And the SCG erupts. It couldn't have been much easier. The Swans will be there again for a fifth time in the Longmire era. They do justice to their season. Can the minor premiers go all the way? Another preliminary final ends in despair and defeat for Ken Hinkley and Port Adelaide. But the Sydney Swans have won the hearts of the Harbour City, and they will either travel to Melbourne or get around their big screens next Saturday afternoon and watch their heroes do battle with either Brisbane or Geelong. There's no post-match antics from Ken Hinkley as he just walks sullenly around the boundary line after a disappointing evening. But the Swans rightfully get the plaudits and they get to sing their song. The sights and sounds of the SCG, the players showing their respect for each other out on the middle of the ground. None of the tension that we saw last week in Adelaide, but huge respect. Port Adelaide's season comes to an end, and maybe a couple of careers as well, who knows. That's all to be discussed in the afters. The final scoreline, Sydney 14-11-95, defeating Port Adelaide 8-11-59. And as I mentioned, John Longmire on his way to a fifth grand final. He won the flag in 2012. And lots of storylines individually in that Sydney team. And there'll be excitement that they'll be there again. Lloyd, 2 years ago, they were wiped off the park by the Cats.
Yeah, they'd be wrapped, Hutto, and what Jimmy just said before is right. The even contribution from this game, it wasn't like a lot of this season where it's been, the big three or four, Heaney, Warner, Goulden, Papley in the last game. Their backline stands up like they are a great backline. Like Cunningham is now getting spoken about like he should. Dane Rampy's one of the best going around. McCartan had a really strong game. Lloyd does his thing back there all the time. And the midfield got beaten at clearance, but around the ground, the foot skills, the precision passing, and then the tall forwards to do what they did tonight is the biggest surprise. Their best performance of the season for the big three came in a prelim, but they won't get it much easier than that. It'll be a lot tougher next week, you would think, but all you can do is beat what's in front of you, and they deserve their spot in the grand final. Callum
Mills could well be the most emotional out there, the injured captain. He obviously thinks he's a decent chance to come into the team, and he's sharing the love around with his mates that have got them there, Jimmy.
Yeah, and the watch will be on what they do with Robbie Fox, Logan McDonald, and probably Braden Campbell. So it's probably 4 players to go into that spot, Lloydie.
Yeah, it's absolutely awesome. What's going on?
You're throwing high fives.
Yeah, just it's getting a bit of love from a few mates down there, the McVeigh boys and Amon Buchanan, who I'm good friends with. So, no, I'm so happy for, Jared, who's obviously been a premiership player himself, but Mark McVeigh's been around football a long time and hasn't been involved in premiership success yet, so I'm wrapped for him as well. So, so impressive tonight. What a coaching team they've got, full of experience. Brett Kirk, the McVeighs, Buchanan, all in Dean Cox, and then they're cherry ripe. As I said, they made a grand final 2 years ago. Warner was in his 39th game. There was players. Goulden was in his 50-odd. So
they should be ready.
Yeah, they are ready.
They were ready. Humiliated 2 years ago.
Yep. By the same team they may well play next week, the Cats. And just on Port, that wasn't the team we saw last week.
No, that was disappointing.
Yeah.
And you're right, Lloyd. You said it a little bit earlier. They've got some big decisions to make, forward and behind the ball. I know there was no Farrell, no Houston. Will Houston be there? I don't think Radaglia is a forward. I think he's got to go play back. What do they do with their forward structure? There's Marshall. I think we saw Georgiades take the forward line this year. He missed some games, but still kicked 40-plus goals, so that was a big tick.